I've been
unmasked.
It's kind of crazy that it's taken this long to get this episode going, considering of how far we go back and stuff. Because I've known you a pretty long time now. I think it's been going
Coming up on 7 years, maybe 6 years, something like that.
Really?
Freshman year of college and freshman year NAU. And now I would have been in my 6th year of college right now. So yeah, just about 6 years.
Damn.
That's long. That flies by like that.
Yeah. Obviously, we haven't completely stayed in contact and stuff over that entire time, but we've always kind of been able to kind of get back into it.
Yeah, you wave in and out, and that's honestly that happens with like everybody, man.
Yeah.
Like, the closest people in my life you'll drop out of contact with for months, but then you'll come back into contact with that person. You'll feel like nothing's changed as far as the dynamic of that friendship.
Yeah.
Obviously you guys, people are in different places. That person may have done something better, or moved on to a chapter in their life. But the dynamic is like I'm sitting here with you, and I'm like, I know we haven't spoken in 6 months, something like that, or maybe more than that.
I think it's been about a year, maybe
6 to 8 months from probably January to February, around there. And then now I'm sitting next to you again. It's like, what's up?
Yeah.
Haven't seen you in 8 months, but the dynamic is still like, it's not like awkward. It's not like, oh my God, we haven't spoken in so long. Is this something wrong? Is something changed? No, it's just like, you got busy in life. I got busier in life.
Yeah.
And, made some dumb choices, but now here we go again. We're at a wave where it comes back together. So that's a huge thing that I've learned about a lot of people.
Honestly, I'm not even sure this time why we because we were very consistent with talking and stuff, and very consistent with hanging out, and then I feel like it was kind of abruptly out of nowhere we just kind of went separate ways again.
Hey, it's just God's plan, man. You may throw curveballs, and you may never know when's the last time you may speak to a certain person.
Yeah.
But then God will either bring you back into that into that fruition again after you guys have learned something different, or we're on like maybe a better aligned path. But you never know, honestly. I mean, whatever God does, and I've learned not to question it anymore, just to go with it.
Yeah. So I'm going to scoot the mic a little bit closer to you. That way. There we go. Perfect. So I obviously know who you are and a lot about your beginning and all that.
Mm-hmm.
My audience, I don't think probably knows a lot about who you are, and maybe not even your audience knows.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things about having so many followers, especially on things like social media, is it's not people that are actually close to you. It's people that follow what you do and your work and stuff. So I want you to introduce yourself, name whatever accomplishments that you want, whatever accolades that you want, and kind of let the audience know a little bit about who Bryan is.
Wow, so that's the question of the day, honestly. Is a lot of people ask me, oh, who are you? What do you do? And it's like, man, what do I not do? Kind of just like all over the place. But, in one term or 2 words, I'm just going to put creative director. But in a whole grand scheme of things, I'm just going to say entrepreneur. Because the definition of an entrepreneur is an individual that takes on multiple tasks or multiple endeavors all at once, and finds solutions to those endeavors. So I'm just going to say, you know what? My name is Bryan Blair. I'm 24 years old. I'm an aspiring entrepreneur living in Phoenix, Arizona. And yes, I'm working on multiple businesses. I'm also a creative director. So photo, visual arts are primarily the avenues that I take in my life, and then the other avenues bleed off into different types of businesses, solutions, finances, and there's just a lot. But I'd say that it's one of the biggest accomplishments is honestly getting to this state, is getting to Phoenix. A different city than where I grew up. So I grew up in Marin County, which is just North Bay, north of the Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco, and after dropping out of college at NAU when I was 19 years old, I went back home, and I was able to land a cool internship working as a software developer for a little bit. And that taught me some things. I was still kind of studying, here and there, like engineering, computer science. But in the end of the game, I was like, all right, this is just not working out. This is not something that I want to do with my life. So I stopped it, and then I stopped school altogether. And I was like, this is not going to lead me to financial freedom. This is not going to lead me to the results that I want in my life. So why am I wasting my time doing it? I mean, Jesus, for God's sakes, the engineers that I was working with were there for 5 to 10 years, and they were only making $75K, $80K a year, and that's in San Francisco. I mean, that's like dirt poor. I mean, the rent there on average is around $3,000 to $4,000 a month. There's no way you can live off that. So I'm like, there's no way I'm going to do this. And then, you know, I moved in with my ex for a little bit, learned some more things, you know, and then got out of that, thankfully. But then that year that I got out of the relationship with my ex and out of that apartment, I went back home and recouped in my house for a little bit for about 6 months. And I was like, I got to get out. I got to get out. I got to get to somewhere new. I just feel like I'm going in circles in the Bay. So the most scary thing that I've seen or that I've noticed a lot of people won't do as easily is move to a new city by themselves with barely anybody that they know. I maybe knew like 2 or 3 people, yourself included, here that lived in the state of Arizona. And I'm like, this is going to be different. I'm going to give up my best friend for a little bit. I'm going to give up the style of living I was used to, my house, rent-free, you know, all that kind of stuff, all my friends that I went to high school with. I'm going to give all that up to go move to a new place on a new opportunity to grow a digital marketing company out here, basically start fresh and push a new chapter. And my God, it was the best decision I've ever made because it grew me and stretched me in so many different ways. So I'd say that would be the kind of biggest accomplishment that I was able to do. And at the same time, I'm going to take that as a success story and then put that forefront and say, it's not about me and my accomplishment, but here's the results that came from it. And here's how you can achieve something very, very similar in your life when you take a scary step in the next direction. So that's kind of the goal that I want to push with me being an entrepreneur and a creative director. Take the things that I've done, the mistakes I've made, the accomplishments, and then say, here, right, look at this, and then analyze in your life, what do you want to do, right? And God will make a way for it if you really, really commit.
Interesting. Okay. I'm kind of curious to dive a little bit more into this decision of going to Phoenix. It seems, so I'm a native to Arizona. I've lived in Arizona my entire life, and it seems, at least from my perspective, that there would be more opportunity coming from California, coming from a place like that. And especially, I know that you were saying like 75, 80K, that's chump money and stuff. I know people in California that make probably 20, 30K a year. But obviously they don't live a very fun lifestyle.
San Francisco is a very different area. So
their 75, 80K is our 40, 50K pretty much.
Yeah.
But even then, especially being in that kind of digital marketing field, I know that Phoenix is definitely one of the biggest cities in the country, but it's still nothing compared to California. What was it about Arizona that made you decide to make that leap happen?
Growth. Everyone has their head slammed around California, LA, San Francisco, San Diego, the beach, you know, Hollywood and all this. It's about growth. LA is already grown. San Francisco is already grown. In fact, actually, they're going backwards. Companies are moving out of LA. They're moving out of California. The taxes are too high. The growth in California is just it's a puff of dust fairy tale right now. It's all glamour. It's the golden carrot. It's all for show, right? But what really happens in that state and growing up there, right? Go walk through the streets of San Francisco. My dad used to have a gallery there on Post Street, and he can't even, it's closed now because you would have homeless people sleeping outside your doorstep, needles on the ground, human feces on the ground, crime. It's a downward spiral. There's no room for growth in that city, right? Phoenix is actually the second fastest growing city in the country right now, not only economically, but real estate physically. They're constantly expanding. You see all this construction happening in, outer Avondale up towards Wickenburg, and then you got Queen Creek, Santan Valley having the biggest growth expansion rate ever that the market's ever seen. And there's more people flooding here more than there ever was. The population of Arizona has increased 20% alone just in the past 3 to 5 years. So that speaks to me being like, okay, wait a minute, this city's growing, right? And you want to go into the direction of the growth that's happening. LA, great place, right? I think it's a great place
really?
I think it's a great place for connectivity and network because it's so big, right? But then that's also the downside when you're trying to grow something, especially like my company Infinite Views, who my business partner, basically he owns it, and I just run it out here and build the business out here. But he started it in San Francisco in 2019, where there wasn't that much saturation. Right now, Infinite Views is one of the biggest digital marketing, real estate marketing companies in the Bay Area. Right now, there's so many other companies like it's trying to start up, trying to do what we're trying to do, and it becomes very, very hard when you're in a very saturated market. So to grow something like in LA or California, just in general, you're going to have a bigger struggle than somewhere like Phoenix, which is smaller, but you have so much attention on it right now, and people trying to get here, especially in the realm of real estate, is where the company grows. Now, I was going to make the move out here regardless, with or without Infinite Views. I just came to the guy and I was like, look, I don't want to work for you. I want to work with you. Let's be business partners. And he thankfully, believed in me and gave me an opportunity to come out. I'll come out here and along with it, and really grow the business and be, a business owner. And yes, it's been a hard road and it's been roller coasters, and I'm not perfect whatsoever. And, but you live and learn. I mean, I'm 24. Yeah. Like, you have to go through certain areas to do it. But California will go down, and it will go down really, really quickly. And I feel bad for a lot of the people that are, trying to do anything out there that haven't already made it, because they're going to get washed up and spit out real quick.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And it breaks my heart because I love that state. I mean, California's gorgeous, man.
Yeah, I know. Especially in a career like one that I'm chasing, being an actor, everyone always kind of comes up to me and asks, like, oh, are you going to move to Hollywood? Are you going to move to LA and stuff? Mm-hmm. And I tell them the same thing. I'm like, if I can comfortably afford to be in a place like that and not have to be in some 2-bedroom place with 6 people and stuff, and not have to live that horrible lifestyle, then yeah, I might consider it. But everybody so far that I've talked to that has either lived there or is from there has told me the same thing, that it's not worth it. It's not worth all the hype. It's way too overhyped. There's some good spots and stuff, but obviously those are the super pricey, super oversaturated spots. Everything else, though, is full of crime, full of all this, full of all that. And I don't know, I feel like there's definitely too much of romanticized thoughts and feelings towards that kind of stuff. Right. And it is finally starting to come to places like Phoenix or even Atlanta or these other huge suburbs, to where you don't have to be in a spot like California to be successful finally.
Yep, exactly. And that's the main thing right there is, these smaller areas are growing. To look at Texas. I mean, Texas is growing the fastest right now.
Yeah.
But places that are all hyped up, like New York, Florida, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, LA. San Diego is all right. I feel like
that one I'd still consider.
I would consider San Diego. I mean, I go to San Diego at least once or twice a month. You know, so because it's so close by. It's 4 hours drive. I have a lot of friends out there now. I can stay wherever I want, and then there's the beach. So San Diego's a very pretty clean city, and there's opportunity out there too. But again, you're in the same boat as LA, right? You're oversaturated with so many people trying to do the same exact thing. It's very hard to really stand out and get. There's a lot of business there, but at the same time, you got you and a million other people trying to do the exact same thing. And that's where you run into a lot of issues, especially from a business perspective and economic perspective, where it just won't work out as well when you have versus an area that's actually growing so much, and then you have more opportunity to really just start fresh and set yourself in on the concrete, right? So I think Phoenix is a really, really good place if you can bear 120-degree heat. Yeah. So
that's one of the biggest obstacles that people don't realize. Like, oh, it's so awesome here. I love the heat. And I'm like, you're not gonna like it when you go outside. It's 125.
You don't. No, you had we had one of the hottest summers on record, actually, didn't we?
I think it was like last year, the year before. I think we hit 125 or 126.
Yeah, I think the year before was like probably the hottest day temperature, but I think this year was the most amount of days that went above 110. I think it's the entire month of July. The daytime was always temperatures like 113 to 116. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
I know. That's the thing that does suck with having so many people moving to Phoenix and stuff, is it's increasing our real estate, it's increasing our prices. That's turning us almost into another California.
And that's the downside, right? Whatever comes up must come down, right? And I've gotten very pissed about this. Was when I first moved out here, rent average was around $1,200-$1,300. Rent has doubled in the state of Phoenix in the past 5 years.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
Most of the time even quadrupled.
Yeah, no, it's insane. I remember when I was at NAU, you can get a studio out here for $500, $600, $700 a month.
Yeah.
At most, in some nice areas too.
Yeah.
Now, 15, 2,000, 2,500, and I'm like, you guys are creeping up. You guys are creeping a little too close towards California.
You have a studio, right?
Not anymore. I live in a 2x2 with Hannah.
Oh.
Yeah, that happened 4 months ago.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So I'm not dating her. So I got to put this out there straight out because the whole world thinks I'm dating this girl.
I mean, your posts kind of make it seem like there could be some. I didn't want to make any assumptions because I know you guys personally, and but
that's all right. Good. It deters all the others because that's been an issue recently. But with Hannah, we have been best friends for 10 years, coming up on a decade, and she is honestly the biggest godsend. She's the best friend that I could have asked for in a female form, and that's really rare to find. Platonically, is that kind of a dynamic, and she's seen me at my low points. I've seen her at her low points, vice versa. We've helped each other. But 6 months ago, she called me and she's like, I got to get out of my living situation. And I was living in the same studio that you saw at 1001 on the lake.
Yeah.
And she was like, I got to get out of my living situation. My ex-boyfriend's this, and this, and it's just not working out. Like, do you want to do a 2x2 together? It gives us an opportunity to really grow stronger as friends. Because I didn't have her in my life for the past year because my ex-girlfriend she wouldn't allow me to see her. She was intimidated by her. She was insecure about her. So she's like, I don't want you seeing Hannah because, she thinks she's probably going to get at you. And I'm like, look, you don't understand anything past your nose, so just zip it. And I didn't see her for about 6 to 8 months. And then finally I was like, yes, I can actually try the roommate situation again, which I really didn't want to do. And then
I tried doing that with you, and you.
I know. She was the only human on this planet that I would actually consider living with. And for a second, I really delayed the process. I was like, I don't really want to do this. I really like my spot. I don't want to really live with someone else. But then I was just like, okay, you only live once. Never lived with a girl other than my ex. So I'll give it a shot. And it keeps the rent price around the same that I was used to paying, so I mean, it didn't do too much dent to that one, so I didn't really care about that, but I was like, well, I'll help her out because I'm pretty sure if I was in the same situation, she would do the same thing for me.
Right.
So that's exactly what happened, and we did 2x2, and now we're living together, and it's a great dynamic. But we locked in a really good rate for the longest term possible, and now you can't get a 2x2 for $2,500 a month, whatever it is, 26. You can't get a 2x2 for that anymore.
Is it Scottsdale or Tempe?
It's the same place. I live
same thing.
I live 3 doors down from my studio. It was the easiest move ever. Easiest moves ever. I'm like,
literally just get a
perfect.
dolly, get some couches, and then just whoop.
That's exactly what it was. It took half a day to move everything over.
Yeah.
I packed it up, had a friend help me, and half a day moved in. And it's great, honestly. It's not as nice as the studio. It's not. It is still updated, with the appliances and all that.
Yeah.
And the cabinets, and it has a nice balcony. It doesn't have a lake view, so that's what I'm kind of pissed off about. The rooms are definitely bigger. It's about 1,300 square feet. It's 1,400 square feet, so it's decently sized. We got 2 cats that live there. She's traveling right now, and I'm traveling tomorrow. So I mean, it's gonna be a trip, since the cats barely see us that time. But no, the rent's just gone through the roof here, and it's like humble yourself, Scottsdale, right? This is not California. The other thing too that's pissing me off, the fucking gas prices.
Bro,
have you seen the gas prices, dude? Are you kidding me?
I drive probably one of the most economically friendly cars in the world. I get 38 miles to the gallon. I'm still filling up every 2 or 3 days because I'm driving all over the valley for different work stuff. Mm-hmm. And each time, I'm spending $50 on my tank. When I first got the car in 2021, it was like $20 to $30 to fill up my tank, and now I'm literally still paying double.
Yep. No, I filled up my car yesterday, $82, and that's premium. It's at $5.69 a gallon. What's crazy is I moved out of California when the gas prices are the exact same as they are now in Arizona. And when I moved here in 2020, beginning of 2022, I remember seeing $3.59 premium, $3.69 normal. A little high for Arizona, but still on the normal side. And I was like, okay. And then they started creeping up. And then one time I saw the premium hit $6 a gallon here, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And obviously, if it's $6 here, it was $7 in California. But I'm like, I went back to the Bay Area. They are only 20 cents apart now.
Are you serious?
Yep, in the Bay Area. And I'm going back tomorrow morning, so I'm going to check it one more time.
Yeah.
And I filled up my car earlier today. So, I filled up at the Cutie down the street or whatever, and that's $5.29 right now. They're fluctuating in the fives for premium. I'm going to go back tomorrow. And if I see $5.59, $5.69 at the gas station by my house, I'm going to get really pissed. I'm going to be like,
that pisses me off. Like, that was one of the things I was like, oh, it's like 5 something here, but it's like 8 something in California.
Nope,
I'm like,
not anymore. Nope.
That's disgusting.
Some gas stations in California still do climb above the 6 mark, you know, 6.29, 6.49. But the ones in Nevada where I grew up, some of them are in the mid to high 5s still. So yeah, it
scares me. I have to fill up right
the
after
thing
this.
is the thing is the people that are coming here, and this is the problem. The people that are coming here primarily are coming out of California, so they're bringing the growth, but they're also bringing their stuffy, pompous attitudes from LA, from the Bay Area, right? So you're bringing this haughty attitude, coupled with the growth. The people that are in charge of all the taxes and how the cities ran are like, yeah, we can hike up the prices here, and inflation this and inflation that, and then it's like, humble yourself. You live in a desert, okay, with dirt and rocks. So don't go that way to think you're in LA or you're some Beverly Hills stuffy bitch. I mean, I was getting gas one time and I went inside the pig because I wanted to get some food with it. And then I was in line. This person and this was in the wintertime, in a white fur coat. This lady walks in. She cuts the whole line, throws a $50 bill or something on the counter, and she's like, 50 on 3, please, and turns her happy ass around and walks out the door. And I'm like, I was so close to chasing after her and be like, what is this? What is this, Hollywood? Oh, here we go, walking in with your attitude and nothing matters, right? And oh, woe is me. I'm like, holy shit! I literally had to like, am I in the Bay now? Like, am I in LA or am I still in Phoenix? Like, did I just shapeshift or teleport to a new state? Like, what's going on here? And I was like, that shocked me coming from Arizona. But I was like, wait a minute, okay, it's not Arizona's fault. It's the people that are coming in. And it's like, dude, chill the hell out.
That was so I used to do Uber driving and stuff back.
Yeah, tell me about that. I want to know from you, what is the most crazy experience you've had in an Uber drive?
So I didn't really have any like crazy experience. I didn't do it during the times of day that like all the crazy. Like, I refuse to do it at night, and I also refuse to do it on the weekends, which I know sounds counterintuitive. I'm missing a lot of the money, but for me, I'm like, it's not worth it to pick up some drunk ass frat boy that's going home for a potential of a $2 tip and puke in my back seat. I'm like, I'll just deal with the 9-to-5ers and stuff and doing all that. But I remember there was one guy that I was talking to, and he just moved here from California, and I was talking to him, and he's like, oh yeah, I make like 6 figures, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, cool. I'm like, what made you guys move out here? And he's like, well, the fact that we had a multi-million-dollar house in California, we were able to sell that and get triple the amount of property and square footage out here, paying the same thing, and we work remote, so we're able to keep our California salaries with paying Arizona prices. And I'm like, I mean, it's fucking genius. You're genius for doing that, but stop, because you're fucking us up. I was like, I mean, I would do the same thing, but it's those kinds of things, like the pandemic, everything switching to virtual work and stuff. It's really good for those kinds of situations for them, but they're able to get the California salaries, and they're willing to pay the premium for real estate, because our premium for real estate is their regular for real estate. Yeah. So our $2 million house is whatever square footage, you know more about real estate than I do, but that's like literally a quarter of the space in California for the same price, if you're lucky.
Yeah,
so
no,
like,
you're right.
You could sell like a $2 million house in California that's maybe like 1,000 square foot, and get a 4,000 square foot house in Arizona for $1 million in Scottsdale. Yep. And you're living in a much nicer community, a much nicer place with everything around you. You don't have California traffic anymore. Yep. You don't have the California assholes. And so it's like, I mean, it's a smart, it's a smart thing, but it's like, the more people realize that, the more California's just gonna be like, all right, we're just gonna all go to Arizona.
Yep. No, honestly, and that's the thing, is like, I love seeing and shooting the houses here. Obviously, I'm still shooting real estate and all that, which is great, because it's dream building built in, right? So I shoot these insane, like, I mean, I shot a house 3 weeks ago, about a month ago, that if this house was airdropped in the Bay Area would probably be about $50 million. And it was only going for $6.25 million out here. It was 10,000 square feet. The guest house alone was 3,000 square feet. It was 9 bedrooms, 7 baths.
Holy shit! 9 bedrooms?
Yep. All glass windows, infinity pool. It was 40-foot ceilings, open floor plan, so the kitchen, living, dining were all in the same area. All brand new, updated, 6-car garage with a basement gym. The basement itself was around like 3,500 square feet, had a gym, rock climbing wall, all of that, you name it. And it's smart house, so it was all controlled by an iPad. And I was like, what the hell is this? It was amazing to shoot. It looked like a wing, you know, it was like one of those like sideways houses like that. It built up on a mountain. And I was like, this is absolutely insane. And when I showed all my California friends the house, they're just like, that exists in Arizona? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, they maybe see a few of those, a handful of houses out in like North Bay, and the price tag on them is just like way up there. So yeah, I get that that type of thinking. I would, you know, if I had a $6 million whatever in California, little closet, you know, closet with a view for $6 million, right? If I had that, you know, and I saw this monstrosity hit the market, I would move out here. You know,
it's even worse in New York City. I've been watching a lot of real estate videos in New York City. Yeah. And the price tags I'm seeing there, I've been watching some people do like apartment hunting and stuff, and it's like, oh, a 1-bedroom. It's like it's only going for $4,500
only.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Like only.
And I'm like, I hope this is like the most state of the art thing. You go, and it's like a little shack. Yeah. It's like built in the 20s, and
it gives you about a room this size, basically.
Your view is the next building over.
Yep.
Like there's no actual sunlight that comes in, and like appliances look like they're on their last dying breath and stuff. And
yeah, it's all old, it's all white appliances, yellow walls, and there's like mold in the ceiling and all that. Like, dude, I don't understand how these people don't go like suicidal, depressed up in that shack, you know, because it's always cloudy, you know, most of the time. They have no sunlight hitting because of the buildings, and then New York is another country at this point, you know. I don't even count it. That you want to talk about worse shit? New York is the worst it gets, I think.
Yeah. I would like, I love the aesthetic of New York City, and I would love to visit, but I don't think, unless I had the money to buy one of those houses, because I was watching a video yesterday. It was a 2-bedroom house, or 2-bedroom like condo or whatever. It was going for, I think, $8 million for a 2-bedroom like 1.5 bath condo.
What?
That was like on the top thing, and it was like the only one that like seemed actually livable, like decently livable. Like here would probably go for like $2,000, but or like probably like $3,000 since it was a 2-bed. But for that, I was like, and they're only, you have an amazing deal, and it's like only $4,800 a month, not including amenities, which cost another $100 to $200 a month, plus not including this, not including that, not including this, and like, so you're, what the fuck? Why? Like no swimming pool, no
swimming pool.
No.
All right, deal's off, man. Get lost.
they give you outdoor space, meaning they give you like a little runway and stuff right outside. Outside the place.
Here's your gated little dog park that you can go out. Yeah, no, screw that. Get lost, man.
It gets ridiculous when I see the price hike and stuff. And then Arizona, that is one thing I do like about Arizona real estate lately is the aesthetic for the real estate they're trying to build. I'm not a fan of the Adobe type of houses and stuff. Like when you go to Sedona and you see like the Adobe type houses and stuff, I've never, like, there's nothing wrong with them. They just don't fit my aesthetic. I'm a much more modern real estate lover.
Same. Like I love the sharp, sleek, you know,
the like white and black kind of monotone type of stuff, or like all glass, just modernistic type of views. And I've been seeing a lot more construction for those happening lately, and I'm like, cool. Yep. I like this a lot. Like it makes it to where it feels a lot more modern. It doesn't feel like I'm in New Mexico or something. Like when we drove through New Mexico and I was looking at it, I'm like, I would fucking hate living here.
Yeah, no, literally.
It's just dust and orange everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I think New Mexico, like I've never been to, like actually we've only driven through it to St. Louis, but you know, I think that New Mexico has a lot of opportunity as well. It could definitely be a secondary Phoenix. It lives in kind of like a bowl, gorgeous mountains, you know, you've got ski places around there. But you know, I don't know, man. It's just right now we're on Phoenix, and then they'll choose another city to start growing, and you never know what could happen. But I feel bad for, like, you know, all of these cities that have been used to like a certain way of like living or lifestyle, and then you get bombarded with different I mean, Arizona, this better not be true, but apparently Arizona thinks it's a blue state. And I'm like, whoa.
I have no idea. I don't touch politics.
And I'm like, whoa, why that changed? You know, that better not be true. Like, I mean, leave that stuff in there. And half the time when I meet people out here and they're like, oh, where'd you come from? Like, where'd you grow up? And I'd be like, California. I moved from California. They're like, oh, really? You're one of them? And I'm like, no, don't associate me with that. I left because of them. So, you know, it's just like, leave the state alone. Don't morph it, and just because you get a different type of demographic here. It's insane.
I stopped doing anything in politics a while back because of the fact that it's not what it should be, and it only creates negativity and separation.
Well, let me ask you this. Here's the problem, all right? And no one's willing to talk about it. No one has the balls to talk about it. What are the two biggest things that they say if you're at a dinner table, right? And what are the two biggest things that they say do not talk about?
Politics and religion.
What are the two biggest problems in the world today?
Politics and religion.
So do you think if we start talking about the damn thing, we might actually be able to get somewhere as far as instead of hiding it away?
I want to say yes, but on the condition that people will respect others' opinions and not take everything so fucking personally like they do right now. That's the issue. Why we can't talk about it is because people have that mentality that if you don't share their same viewpoint, if you don't share what they think or something, it's no longer just like, this is your opinion, I respect it, and you're still pretty good, you're a cool guy. Mm-hmm. Now it's, if you think this way, go fuck yourself, you're a terrible human being, and I never want to associate with you again. There's just like that hard point of separation now. It like, used to be able, like, back 10 years ago, mm-hmm. you could have a group of friends that were a mixture of different political parties.
Yep.
Because of the fact that they're like, cool, all right, go Bucks or something, or like talking about sports or something, and then like if someone brings it up, like, oh yeah, did you see the election? Oh yeah, cool, all right, next. But now it's like, you cannot have any group of friends, like any group of friends is probably going to be all the same thing, because it's not just about this. It's politics has turned into something completely different, and it's only separated people. And the same thing with like religion and stuff. And like, I'm a kind of like a newer Christian, mm-hmm. and part of one of the reasons why it kind of took me so long to get to that is because of people's different outlooks. Yeah. When I talk, like, I can even see when I talk to some people about Christianity, a lot of people do have that negative notion towards it, when you see those people on the side of the fence or on the side of the roads holding a picket sign saying you're all damned to hell and doing all that, or like I've seen that growing up all the time, like Jesus is coming and if you don't repent then you're going to hell, and like instilling fear in people and stuff, and using, that's why I don't say I'm religious, because religion is based off of guilt
from the pits of hell.
That's not truly what this is, but it's hard to kind of talk to somebody, especially that has been instilled with that mindset towards religion, depending on what it is, because like, especially when it comes to something like Christianity. Yeah. Yes, there are really good Christians out there. There are really good communities, but you do have to find them, and it might take some filtering through a lot of different people, because there are what they call the nationalist Christians, who are the hateful ones, who will say that you're damned to hell if you do this, and God hates you if you do this. And it's like, well, wait a second. If you're saying that, you obviously have not even read into your own religion, because God doesn't say anything about hating anybody. Not at all. There's not a single part of the Bible that mentions hating anybody. Yeah. You're supposed to love thy neighbor, no matter what. So when these people and these Christians say like, oh, you're supposed to hate anyone that's gay, you're supposed to hate anybody that's doing this, it's
not
like,
true. You're supposed to love on them, pray for them, and then open the door for that truth. That's it. You don't despise or hate or discriminate or all this bullshit, because that's just division and guilt and all that. That just comes from the enemy. That's all he wants. The enemy just wants to rob, kill, steal, and destroy, and he'll do whatever it takes to do that.
But it's because we have those Christians that are that much more like, I've seen that the good Christians are a little bit more of the quiet Christians, because we aren't out here trying to shove it down your throat that you need to do this. For us, it's, well, you have your own relationship with God that you need to develop, and you need to come to God and you need to do this. Versus those other ones that are like, if you don't fucking repent right now, you're going to fucking hell. And oh my God, like, they're like chasing after you, and it's like,
that's like the JWs and the, all of those types of people that really try and push that, and you can't force it. You can't lead a horse to water. You can't make a horse drink when you lead it to water, that type of thing, right? So, we're called, to one, it's about relationship. And I don't even answer that question when they ask me if I'm religious. I'm spiritual. I'm Christian. I go to Impact Church. I'm spiritually intertwined and connected to the Lord.
I know. I hate when people are like, "Oh, and he's religious, so just be careful." I'm like, I'm not fucking religious.
No,
I'm not in a cult. I'm not.
No, literally, and it's a stereotype that they come up with, and honestly, and it's just an attack on the enemy. But we're called to exactly what you said, to love people, to do good, and it's not like good works. See, the difference that like a lot of these churches have is they work on a works-based system, and that means that you have to earn God's forgiveness and earn the grace. It literally says it in John. It's a free gift, the free gift of life. All you have to do is accept it. How do you accept it? The relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. Relationship, not religion, not sacraments, not churches and all these other nonsense. It's relationship. And if you have that relationship strong, right, and in your heart that you're saved and that he's got you and you love people, you're transformed from the inside out. Your good works and your good deeds are a result of your salvation. They're not a requirement for your salvation. It's happened because I'm a good person now, and that's why Jesus had to come back to the planet, or not come back, but why he had to come in the first place, because no one could keep the law. Right? These religions work on the good person tactics, the repenting topics. Actually, there's certain controversies about this where it says, repentance is not even at all what the Bible really says. It says turn from sin, right? Turn from sin, but we're still going to sin. If we just, never sin again. That's not going to happen. I
don't think it's possible for humans, or like, I don't care how pure you think you are. I don't think it's biologically possible for us to not quote unquote sin.
We can. You're correct. We cannot. That's why we need Jesus, and that's why he is the gateway to eternal life, and he knows that. That's why he had to die. He paid the price, and it like brings tears to your eyes when you know this, and when you accept it and believe it, is that he died on that cross and paid the price. So it's like, but that doesn't give you a free pass to go out there and start killing someone. Don't do that. But it's the pure at heart that are the blessed, and that's what causes a lot of the division that we have in them. I mean, look at what's going on in the world right now. Look at what's happening with the.
And it's not even necessarily Christians. It's with every religion and stuff. It's so hard to be in a room and find people of completely different religions, because of the fact that, like, obviously that does kind of go into building your moral compass and how you do think of others and stuff. But like, most of the time, you can't even be in a room with more than like 10 to 15 Christians at once without at least one or two of them feeling uncomfortable, because of the fact that you're going to find a bunch of those nationalist Christians that were raised in the households of like, oh, I was raised with this and with that, and like I like, don't even mention this to me or else I'm going to flip out. And it's like, then you weren't raised.
Then you got to realize, like, even on those statements themselves, you got to look at what, is inside of a person, right? I actually heard on a podcast the other day that if you squeeze an orange, orange juice is going to come out of it. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm not sounding like a crackhead, I promise. But if you squeeze an orange, orange juice comes out, right? If you squeeze an apple, apple juice comes out, right? Or whatever fruit, whatever juice is native to that fruit, right? Take the same thing to a human. When you squeeze a human, right? If anger comes out, that's what's inside. If happiness comes out, that's what's inside. So you really got to look at the person and be like, well, what ticks them off, right? And I actually been, kind of sidewise studying this just on myself and on other people. When I get put in sticky situations, pressured situations, normally I work good under pressure. Too much pressure kind of shuts me down. But I don't get to the point where it's like, fits of like rage or anger. It's more of just like shock, and then it's just like maybe a few swear words, and then like I gotta take a second real quick before I literally like just pass out from just pressure, right? Like actually like exhaustion pressure. And like the past week, for example, past 2 weeks, actually past month, has just been like immense pressure. Business pressure, shooting, taking on some personal projects, traveling a lot, friends, nonsense, family issues, finances, whatever it is, good and bad. It's been a lot of good stuff, a lot of actually great stuff. I'm so thankful. August and September has actually been the best months of my life so far. A lot of lessons, a lot of fruitions, a lot of financial breakthrough, and a lot of opportunity. But at the same time, it's had a lot of that underlining pressure, right? So I was noticing my reactions to these pressures. And the other day, You know, it was just like I was so exhausted. I was literally running off like 2 hours of sleep, if that. And, you know, I was coming back from shoots, and then I had to facing all these projects, and I got to leave soon, so I got to get all this together. I go to Trader Joe's, and I come out, and someone backs right into my side door on my car. It doesn't do too much damage, just like a little scrape, like about like that big, you know. But it was just like in that moment when I saw that, I was like, the snap. I was like, okay. But it wasn't like freaking out like, oh my gosh, how could you back into my car? And like, it was more just like, all right, breathe. I need a second. In fact, I actually asked my friend Jessie. I was on FaceTime with her. She was the whole witness to the entire thing. So it's just like, breathe. Okay, it's just stuff. It's just a car. It's gonna get fixed. It's not the end of the world, right? And then on the same flip side, I saw other people when the same types of situation happens. My dad, for example, love and respect him to death, but certain pressures would build up on him. Now he's under a lot as well, you know, constantly juggling everything. And I guarantee you, if something happens that the same exact situation happened to him, anger, rage, and just freaking out. And I'm like, okay, study that, right? Getting angry is never gonna fix anything. Getting mad, you know, something gets brought up to you that's disrespectful, or someone says something to you that just triggers you. Getting mad and in their face is not going to fix anything. It's an expression of it. But you got to really look at yourself and be like, okay, these Christians, so so-called Christians, you got to look at the fruits of the Spirit, right? What are the fruits of the Spirit? Love, joy, peace, gentle, kindness, patience, biggest one, patience, you know. Those are the fruits of the Spirit, meaning that if you have the Spirit, the Holy Spirit inside you, which we all do, those should be the fruits of it, right? It doesn't say don't get angry. It says be slow to anger, right? Jesus got angry. He walked in the temple when they were collecting taxes back in the day in his temple, in his house. And he walks in there, it's like, this is not a place of theft, thievery. He starts flipping the tables. Of course he gets angry, but he was slow to anger. Right, there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to realize that we live in a day where, you know, you can say 5 words to someone and you take them from happy to peaceful. So that's why I try to divorce my feelings, and I tell people, divorce your flipping feelings, because your feelings will go like this all over the place. Yeah, you'll go from happy to sad to angry back to happy again in a matter of 30 seconds. What the heck? Yeah. So if you are, you know, not one of the nationalist Christians, and you're really grounded in the Lord, you have the fruits of the Spirit, someone should be able to say something to you or tick you one way, and you know what? You still love that person. Yeah. Right? And that's up to you to decide, and that's up to all of us to really look at ourselves, and that's just self-growth, man. So over the many years that I've known you, a lot has changed for you. When we first met, you worked for me in the event company that I used to own, and then we became partners for a little while. Unfortunately, that company went down with COVID and everything. And you've gone through many different things, from moving down to here for college, moving back, and then moving back down here, changing careers, doing all that. What are the biggest things that you've learned about yourself through all those different changes? Oh man, that's a loaded question. That's a loaded question and a half right there, boss. Honestly, I'm just going to say, like, learning how to really take it all. Learning how to really take everything good and bad, make the best of it, and just ride the frickin' wave, dude. Entrepreneurs are people, and you're with the same thing, you're in the same boat, so you understand this. It goes up and down like this, and it will always go up and down like this. The people that want your safe and steady day job, go get it. You'll always get one steady line, but it'll always stay at that one steady line. Right. When you want to do something big and you have a calling on your life and a purpose on your life, you know, it's going to require a lot of pressure, a lot of squeezing, a lot of trials, tribulations, and you got to know how to go with it, right? Don't fight it. It's like a current, right? Do you know how to surf or do any water sports?
I wish I did, but unfortunately, I've only done boogie boarding a little bit.
Okay. So boogie boarding, same thing, right? I mean, like, we're surfing. When you're in the water on the waves, you get caught in a current. The number one thing that all the instructors tell you to do is never fight the current, because it'll actually pull you down underwater if you do. If you just go with it, you may get pulled out a little bit or pulled down the shoreline a little bit. Just stay calm, ride out the storm, go through it. So basically, you know, then when it lets go of you, then you can finally actually get control back on things. So yes, I mean, a lot of us have a natural tendency to you know, to be in control of everything. That's usually not the best bet, because when you start to control everything, you can't, then it just leads to a lot of bit of stress. So when you learn how to ride it, that's probably the best lesson that I've learned over the past 2 to 3 years. And you've gone through a lot of changes too, with, moving around a lot in different situations and financial hardship and going from job to job, and then starting up the podcast and now really getting like a good grip on a direction that you're in right now. Mm-hmm. Same question back to you. What's the biggest thing that you've learned? Because I've seen your struggles before too, and I've been in the same boat years ago too. So it's like, you've seen fruits on my tree, and I'm seeing fruits on your tree coming through, and this is one of them. So it's like, what have you learned through those, those hardships? Because that's really where the man is created, is through those hardships.
I'd say for me, it's also kind of a loaded question because there's been so much. I remember when I was like 18, 19. Fully on my own, like no help from parents and stuff. I went through a thing. I'm like, I'm a fucking adult. I'm a grown up doing all this. I was not by any means at all. I was still the most immature. Yeah, no. But I was still super immature. Still didn't really have a good mindset about myself. I didn't give the chance to learn about myself and learn the goods, the bads, and really kind of dive deep into it. And at first I was proud of who I was at that point because of how much I was quote unquote accomplishing with having my old company and being able to chase the stuff that I was doing and doing the things that I was doing. But after moving down here and going through the pandemic and stuff and going through different careers, I was in finance for like 4 years doing the whole Monday through Friday 9 to 5 thing. I really got to kind of learn that like I have a creative bone in myself that I need to continue to do. And then I also, one of the biggest things that I realized is in order to solve a problem, you have to admit that there is one.
Yep.
And so with myself, I was kind of reanalyzing a lot of relationships, whether it was friendship or romantic, and I was kind of noticing different patterns, and I was kind of like, maybe there's a lot more to my childhood and my past that I need to heal before I jump into another relationship or I try to continue down another career. And so I got myself in therapy and I started really kind of like doing that. And then I was like, I never thought about getting into spirituality, but maybe I do need it because there's a lot of different things that are pointing to it, or at least just learn about it. I don't have to become a Christian. I don't have to do all that, but at least learn about it.
Yeah.
Learn about this thing that so many people believe in. And so I kind of went down that path. When I first moved down here, I was super lost. I didn't have any friends. I was in a relationship with somebody that there's nothing wrong with them. We just weren't meant for each other, and we moved way too quickly in the relationship, and I feel like I was kind of being somebody that I wasn't supposed to be. And so towards the end, I went through probably some of the most, like the biggest depression rut of my entire life. Most anxiety, most depression. It was probably like one of the worst turning points ever. I had just quit my job at my old finance bank, and I did that so that I could try to chase the acting career and chasing other stuff. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to be able to do Uber. I'm going to be able to do DoorDash and do all these things to make ends meet. I'll be fine. And I realized that I needed structure. And while being an entrepreneur is amazing and all, it's very hard when you don't already have that discipline instilled in you, because for me, my discipline almost came from having a job. The fact that if I didn't make it to the office by 9 a.m., I was fired. And so it would have like those motivations and stuff. When you're working for yourself, you don't have those kinds of things to worry about. If you don't make it to the office, you're not fired, you just lose clients, and therefore you lose money. And so there's a lot, like I didn't realize that I was lacking in that department so much. For me, I was kind of romanticizing the idea of not having to drive to the office and turn on my computer and sit there for 8 hours. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna be able to like sleep in a little bit maybe, or maybe like get my own morning routine going, start like cold shower in the mornings and do the whole entrepreneur morning routine and stuff. But then I started realizing, I'm like, how do I motivate myself to work, especially doing something that I'm not passionate about? Because obviously right now, I'm not able to have acting as my primary career. I'm not able to have these artistic forms as the money-making career. I need to have these other things, which I still don't want to do. And so I learned that discipline was a huge thing I needed to work on, along with confidence in myself more. And I had to learn what true sacrifice looked like for me. Because when I first moved here, I had other friends that were there's nothing wrong with them, but they weren't on the same path that I wanted to take. They were doing activities that weren't productive. They were being the crowd that might have suited their fancies and stuff. But for me, I knew that that's not what I should have been doing.
Yep.
And so I had to learn to sacrifice all of them and learn how to be okay with being alone and not have to be surrounded by people 24/7. I had to learn how to kind of just be comfortable with myself and learn that sacrifice is okay, especially for like the hard shit now will give you some of the best rewards later on.
Yep.
Which after a while is when I reconnected with you and I started getting into a better mindset and a better environment and stuff. But even like, I don't think I ever even admitted this to you and stuff, but like during that time, I feel like kind of being an imposter. I was still kind of being someone that I wasn't supposed to be, chasing something that I wasn't supposed to chase.
Okay. It's interesting.
I looked at you with envy. I looked at you envying your whole life, everything about you. And it grew this almost resentment in me a little bit because you were living this life I wanted to live. The people you were hanging out with, the people that you were working with, the lifestyle that you were living. I was so like, why can't this fucking be me? And so that was one of the reasons why I personally had to take some time away from like talking to you and all that, because I was like, I'm mad at him for my own personal shit. He's not doing anything to me. You're not doing anything to me. It's my own fucking head, my own emotions that are getting the best of me and saying this and this. Like, you're not over here and saying, haha, Alex, you're lower than I am. Nope. You're not worth. Like, you're not doing it. You're living your own life. But for me, I'm looking at you with resentment. And I started like, not just looking at you, but other people in my life with that comparison value of comparing my life to theirs and stuff, especially when they would try to relate. And I know that was one thing that you tried doing a lot, was relating to my life. But the truth of the matter is, we had very different childhoods growing up. When you were telling me about yours versus mine, we had very different lives growing up. Anything from our childhoods to teenagehoods, even to early adult years. And so trying to compare your life to my life and trying to compare your story to my story,
it just wasn't working.
It wasn't. And like, I would try to go to you with saying like, hey, how do you deal with this? Or hey, this is the kind of shit I'm dealing with. And like, I know it was coming from a good spot from you. I knew it was coming from like a truthful spot of you trying to relate to me in order to build me up. But for me, it was almost adding in the fact of comparing myself to you and saying, why can't I have this type of life then? If we're so similar, why is your story so much different than mine? Am I just worth less than him? Am I just not like, what's so different about us? Like, maybe he's just better than me. And so it started just creating all these negative emotions. And I did learn, however, instead of like, because I could have easily come back at you and attacked you and been like, go fuck yourself, Bryan, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. I did have to unfollow you on social media. I had to completely, pretty much blind myself from your life completely.
Really? I didn't even know this.
Yeah. I know you didn't know it, and I was honestly even debating if I was going to ever tell you, but that was where my life was at that point. You were shooting with all these beautiful women and stuff, and it's not even the fact that I wanted to be surrounded by beautiful women. It's the fact that you were in this career that I was considering on taking on as my own. And I was realizing even in taking on that career that like, you were in it for your own growth and stuff. I was in it to almost prove something. And while I still love photography and I still do it, it's in a different capacity. It's not like I'm trying to completely, like, I would love to have a career out of it, but we have different work ethics. And so I had to learn that separation between you and me. And a lot of it does fall just on you, primarily because you were some of the ones like I spent a lot of the time with. If I was hanging out with anybody, usually it was you or talking to you. I mean, we spent fucking 20 plus hours in a car together driving to St. Louis and back.
Yeah, that was a trip.
Yeah. So,
thank God we're not doing that again this year.
Yeah.
Flights in 5-star hotels this time.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. But I mean, I'm grateful for all the stuff I did get to learn from you, but it was it was a lot of self-reflection on myself of why do I feel this way towards another human being. And then it was just going through that whole comparison value and just...
It was probably just like, and this is... The mentorship's there to help. The business is there to help.
Right.
But at this time, the business, the connection, the opportunities, you were not prepared for properly because that back-end trauma from the childhood was the anchor point. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. Look, we all... go through the envy. I even did it today. I was having lunch with my friend Austin. A young couple walks out to the dream car that I have, that I want. C8 Corvette, gorgeous girl, opens the door for her, puts her in, and I just got in a mood for about 2 or 3 minutes. That my friend Austin tapped me. He's like, "You okay, man?" And I'm like, I snapped me out of it. I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm just, why am I not there yet?" Right? So some people look up to me, and then I look up to others, and then others and others and others. I met this guy Blake. He's 25 years old. Blake Evanstein. The guy's 25, makes $250,000 a month, and I'm like, what the? Same type of thing. And I'm like, what's going on here, man? It's a normal human response, but it roots from something back down in the childhood. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck I still don't know what the hell it is.
Well, it's also, there's always a bigger fish, and it's kind of interesting that you say all that, because I was thinking like, I'm thinking this way about him. I'm sure he's probably thinking this kind of stuff towards someone bigger than him, and
it goes up and up and up. You ever seen that one photo where it's like a guy on a bike, a guy in a shitty car, then a decent car, then a nice car?
Yeah, there's like a handicapped person.
Yeah, or a handicapped person, the handicapped wishes he could walk, or someone wishes they have a nice car. And it's like, we got to be so grateful that we even have. I was even thinking about the Australian pastor guy with no arms and legs. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's Australian. And I was like, man, what would that life be like though? And I just lifted up my hands and legs, and I was like, shit. I was like, that's you gotta be grateful, man.
And it's like I look at your life and I'm like, I want that. I want to be able to like work for myself and travel. Like every time that you would come up to me and say like, oh yeah, I've just been traveling, like you're kind of saying like, oh, I'm so exhausted. For me, I'm like, I'm stuck in a fucking cubicle for all these times. So shut the fuck up. And so it's but then I talk to these other people and they're looking at me and they're talking to me like, man, I wish I had like your strength or whatever. I wish I had your confidence to be able to chase this. And I'm like, really?
A little different, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, like it's different levels and stuff, but that was a big thing that I had to face for a while. And recently, I did decide to like start following again, and because I kind of released my clarity a little bit, and I'm like, you know what? He's on his own path. He's had different opportunities that like I also had to look back on like what you've told me about your opportunities that you've had that I didn't have. Mm-hmm. You're also from California, which innately has more opportunity a lot of time.
That is
your
true.
Family, different situation, your connections. Just like you've had a completely different path. You've gone this way. I went this way, hoping that I'd get to here still.
Yep.
But that was your path. That wasn't my storyline to make, and maybe our paths are supposed to be different, but it was always kind of doing that. And then also like all the opportunities that you were getting, I was jealous kind of that I wasn't able to get that, and like I was almost trying to copy you in a sense, but in the most kind of disgusting way possible. When I realized I'm like, I would have done the same thing, because when I was thinking, I was asking you a lot, like, how did you get in contact with this person? How did you do this? How did you do that? And I'm like, wait, I'm trying, and honestly, it sounds like I'm trying to take the easy way out, just by, like, give me your contacts and stuff instead of building my own. So I'm like, at first, when I went on my own path, it was a little bit of like, I'm going to show him. I'm going to get my own crew, and I'm going to get my own shit. I'm going to get my own life together and make him jealous of me. And then after a while, I'm like, I need fucking help. Literally, I just went to that, did therapy, and then I mean, it did kind of help taking a little bit of a break from kind of seeing all that, but it was honestly just realizing that I am on my own path, and my own downfalls are just part of my story for later on. I might not get to where you are financially until maybe a couple years from now, or maybe later, or maybe your life is going to take a different turn. Maybe it's going to take a really fucking good turn, or maybe it's going to go the other way, and maybe you're going to start doing
It was close to a bad one, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It was close.
And even right now, like, I'm still in a very questionable situation, but it's a situation that's my situation, and I always think back, I'm like, you know what? The quote I've been quoting a lot lately is, everything, whether it's for good or for bad, is temporary.
That's the good and the bad news. You know the good news?
Yeah.
You know, the suffering or the joy, it's temporary. The bad news, it's also temporary. So, I mean, like, you know, that's why I'm saying, like, all these emotions that we feel, so, like, the envious, right, or the fit of pressure that I was under, it's like, it's temporary. It's going to go away like that. It'll fly away, and then we'll go through another phase of something. But, you know, and then that was the biggest thing too, honestly. And I had something very similar when I was starting photography. I was extremely jealous and being very comparing myself so much to a lot of the photographers in the Bay Area. The guys that had 150K on Insta, they got the numbers, right? You know, they got the girls, they got, you know, everything. They were shooting a lot. They had the equipment. They were traveling. They were getting so much attention, all these comments. And here I am with my little measly 2,000 follower account getting 2 or 3 comments on a photo. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, this is bullshit. I know I'm good too. Like, you know, so I understand completely. I had to do the same exact thing. I had to shut out some of those people, and I had the same type of resentment build up to some of them, you know, and where it's like, wow, okay. Or I try to message them and they just wouldn't even like regard my message. They would leave me on read, and I'd just be like, what the fuck?
I'm like, what? I'm not good enough for your message.
And I've noticed that sometimes when I leave people on read, sometimes that it actually is it's a transfer. I had someone in my life tell me that whatever you don't transform, you will transfer. And I was like catching myself. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm leaving some people on read, or I don't want to respond to this message. I was stuffed on read before. I'm going to leave you on read, and I would transfer the favor sometimes, and I would subconsciously be doing that, and I wouldn't understand why. I wouldn't even know I was doing it. I would just open it, you know. And sometimes what I did is my ex-girlfriend made fun of me for this, but when I would get a text message, I would open it up, I would read the text message, and then out loud I would respond to it. And I'd be like, someone asked me like, oh, hey, how was your day? I'd be like, oh yeah, it was great. And then I'd put my phone down and I wouldn't respond to the message. And then days would go by. They'd be like, you bastard, you never responded to me. And I'm like, oh, that was you. I was like, I did, but it was out loud in the moment. So
that's been a big change. And I don't know if it's from hanging out with you a lot or what it was. I fucking hate texting.
I hate texting too. I never text.
Like when
I always call.
Yeah, that's how I am. Like even with my girlfriend now, I'll call. Like I prefer to I won't text her at all during the day, but we'll have like an hour phone call later because I'm like, we'll do this. And then even with the podcast, obviously most of my stuff is like through Instagram, so it's DMs trying to get stuff going.
Yeah.
I will accidentally not respond to someone for days on end because of the fact of I see over 10 DMs unread. I'm like, it stresses me out. And I'm like, I'm just not going to do this. And then I'm like, oh, wait. And I have to go into my other account to try to see what's going on there. And then that's not like, so I have the 2 types of Instagram accounts to look at the DMs, and then plus 600 plus unread text messages and stuff. And a lot of times for me, when I look at those, I'm like, if it's not something that needs to urgently be responded to right now, I'll just leave it. And then just stays unread. Or if I don't know how to respond to it right now, it's probably not going to get responded to.
So the craziest thing is on Instagram, what I'll do sometimes is I'll open the message and then I'll swipe back out and I'll swipe to the left or whatever on the message and I'll click unread. You know what that is? Or unread.
Is it like make it to where it's unread still? Or like
so where it still has like the blue dot by it.
Oh yeah.
So for the longest time, I thought that because when you click on an Instagram message, it shows them seen, shows them that you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I thought that if I just click on read, it takes that scene away. No, it doesn't. No, it fucking doesn't, dude. And I would do that a lot. Probably 80% of the time, I would open the message to see what it is, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm responding to you later. Unseen. They won't know I've seen it. I'll just say I'm super busy. And then I go on my day, continue posting on Instagram on the stories or whatever. And a week later, the same person would be like, oh, what the fuck, dude? I hit you up like last week, and I'd be like, oh yeah, sorry, I've been busy. I didn't get a chance to see your message. And then they were like, yeah, you did. It says that you opened it. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, oh, wait a minute. So actually, yeah, I probably did. I'm sorry. I just really forgot to respond. So then I was like, I got to not do that anymore. That's so unprofessional and so disrespectful. So now actually, if I am not sitting down, like focused on responding, I just won't open the message.
Yeah.
All right. But, and thank God it hasn't been many. And I won't really have more than like 10 or 15 in my inbox right now, unread. If it gets more than that, then I'll start to really, flow it back down to like a normal number. But so I pissed some people off by doing that, not even knowing that.
Yeah. I just realized we never really went into what you do as far as being, because I know you said you're an entrepreneur, and I obviously know a little bit about you. I'm sure you're probably involved in 20 million new things since we last talked. What are you involved with now?
Well, basically, it's the same thing, just on steroids. So, obviously, the Amway business that you were a part of is growing slowly but surely. But what I'm doing is now that I've pulled in Greg now to be a one-on-one. So some things kind of happened in the upline. You know who I'm talking about. That probably has caused like a little bit of a, where we need to pull in some upline help, right? So now Greg's coming in and doing a lot of, or is there as an aid if I need him. And then I have some people that are, that just got sponsored that are, really starting to grow a little bit. And some existing people are starting to grow. So, I mean, that's, like I said, that's like one of them. And that's just like a small section for right now. I mean, the business caliber is astronomical, but as far as the work ethic that I can put into it on a daily basis, it's kind of just like I build businesses like that as I grow, because it's network marketing, direct sales. So it primarily revolves around networking with people and plugging them into the system. So, and I do that by default, because I go to a lot of networking events, AZ Entrepreneurs. I'm going to different events to this weekend, so it's like I'm always meeting people. I just do it by default and then just shove them towards the system. They learn how to be a business owner, and if they want to build the business, great. If not, cool, next. It's like a revolving door by default with that.
Yeah.
Number two, the biggest one is Infinite Views, my digital marketing company out here, which specializes in real estate, listing marketing, social media marketing. So like all those trendy reels that you see with like the text captions and the lifestyle and the eye candy, we create those for small business owners, real estate agents, and entrepreneurs as well. And then we also do website development with that. So that's the big main digital marketing company that has a very proven solution, an all-in-one professional business with video transitions and trends like you've never seen before. In fact, I had agents I had the director of marketing for one of the big brokerages that we work with bring me into a meeting one day, physically, a sit-down one. And the first question he asked me is like, okay, Bryan, you've been working with a lot of our agents. Your company's doing great. In my last 25 years of seeing everything on social media and seeing our listing videos, we have never seen a company like yours come in from the Bay and just absolutely blow the quality out of the water. What are you guys doing? And we talked a partnership with the actual brokerage, and we talked about actually doing their internals and all this, because he wanted to know what the hell was it that this company brought to the table. So the solution is unparalleled visuals, high trends that we see before anyone else sees, because we have people that literally look at the trends and study the trends so that we know what to bring to our agents and our clients. So that's where it's like that has the biggest growth right there, and that's just pure business development and creative development, right? So that's always constantly changing, as you know. Social media is never the same as it was 30 seconds ago. It's always something new.
Yeah.
So that's a great one to be in, and that's taking up most of my time right now, and that'll always be most of my time, because it utilizes active and passive income. Once I still will build a bigger team out here with, some admins and more videographers and photographers, then I can start to step into oversee, and then that's where that real kind of lifestyle comes into play of the time freedom. But we're still a long ways away from that. I mean, like the opportunities that have come up have been big, but we're still, cooking along there. And then just being a general creative director, just flying, out to California to do some projects. I haven't really traveled too much in the first part of this year, but in August, the beginning of August, I've caught like close to maybe 16 flights since August to now, and I'm just in the middle of it, so like it doesn't end until October, and I'm like, when will it stop, kind of thing. That was one of the biggest pressure points. I was just like, I love this, but when will it kind of just slow down a little bit so I can actually like breathe, so like count the blessings sometimes, but there's nothing really insanely new. I would just say everything is just starting to pick up a lot. And I was like, all right, I got to keep up with this. And I fell into alcoholism a lot, actually, back in the early part of this year. And I'm just now starting to really come out of it because it was so much pressure that I was like, oh my gosh, I just got to, unwind tonight. And I was drinking almost every other day, large amounts. And then it cooled down for a while. And so it's like it was a stepladder. Got really, really a lot really quickly. And then it just started to slowly step itself down. So where I'm not drinking as much anymore. So it's like those opportunities really, really test, the strength of a person that's trying to do it and how much you're going to break when things do not go according to plan.
Right.
A lot of people think that I take on, like you said, 20 million different things. When I boil it down, it's really only 3. It's really only 3 major things, and then everything else is just side, right? So I don't really hang out with people too much anymore, or do anything too social. And the girls had to deter them away. I mean, had some bad flings here and there. Great girls, but just not going anywhere. To the point where girls would tell me like, "Oh, I really, really, really want to date you. I think we could." Really work. I like you a lot. Be like, you don't like me. And if you try to like me, you probably are going to break your own heart. So don't even go there. And I was just like, I don't want a girlfriend right now. I don't want to be dating anybody because one, I can't even handle it. I'm cracking and breaking down on my own. And I'm not even dating anybody. I'm like, what do you think is going to happen if I'm dating someone? I mean, you're not going to get the attention that you want because that's all they want nowadays. Like, why the hell am I going to, do that to myself? So I really kind of just hunkered down in. And I encourage people to not take on more that they can chew. Pick 2, max 2, or 3 at most, 3 max. But 2 primarily that you can really just dive yourself in and just go on it all in. So like right now, I mean, even my business partner, Jonathan, was just like, dude, Bryan, you fucking good, dude. Like you're over there like in Arizona doing God only knows what. I don't even know where you are. And I'm like, yeah, I don't even know where I am either. He's just like, slow down, dude. Like really just take a breather. And the guy I was on the phone with right before, we were talking business and all that. And then he's telling me like, you're doing fine. You're 24. Give yourself a break. Go turn off your damn phone and just chill the fuck out for 2 or 3 days. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that.
I was literally trying to tell you
I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I tried it. I tried laying down in bed and I'd sit there for 10 minutes and I'd be like, I got to go back to business. Yeah. I'm like, I can't turn this off. I don't know how to turn it off. My ADHD just runs and it just keeps going and going.
That is another thing actually that I've had to learn because back when me and you were hanging out a lot, I noticed that I still remember I came to your house and I sat on your thing. I'm like, I want shit on my plate. Like my plate is empty and I want shit. I should have been a lot more careful with my words. I'll tell you that because I ended up picking up so many different things. And I've always been a very ambitious person. I've always been someone that chases so many different types of careers and stuff. Even since then, I've gone into so many different types of careers that I wanted to chase. But I realized that you have to learn consolidation. You have to learn, like, the most successful people don't do all, like, the people that own 400 million different companies and stuff. They didn't start off with owning those. They started with, like, one until that became big enough.
Acquired it.
Until, like, it can become more passive and stuff. But that was such a hard bullet for me to bite with being able to be like, okay, which 2 things do I want to do right now? Yeah. Because for a long time, I'm like, I want to be a videographer and photographer. I want to do podcast. I want to be an actor. I want to be a DJ. I want to do this. I want to do that. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I have 5 things. Cool. If I can do one thing every night, then it'll be awesome. And then like a month later, I would be like, why does nothing have growth? Like, why am I not
spreading yourself?
Exactly. Like that, and then I was like, okay. And then that's when I had to be like, okay, well, what can I drop right now? I don't have to drop it forever. But what can I drop right now? And so I took a little bit of a hiatus from photography and stuff a little because I'm like, I don't even have a good enough camera right now to keep up with what I want to do. So I'm going to take a break from that right now. And then I did the podcast. I'm like, okay, what 2 things can I do as a passion thing other than like work and stuff? Like obviously I could do whatever day job shit I need to do, but what 2 things? And since doing that is when I've been able to actually see growth. Like the growth that I've seen in this podcast has been exponential. Like I never thought being able to put this much time, passion, and energy into something. Like I love being able to go balls to the wall with something. That's one of my like superpowers, quote unquote. When I have my mind set on something, like Rich Devils, with that was the one and only thing that I had. But because that was the one and only thing that I had, which Rich Devils was the entertainment company I used to own, where we used to host things for those who don't know, that's how we originally met.
That was a trip. Love that company.
But with that was the only thing I had going at that time. So I was able to utilize every bit of my creative power, potential, energy, and everything and put it into that, which is why we became one of the most like popping companies that Flagstaff had seen in God knows how long, especially in the niche that we were in. We saw the exponential growth that we saw because of the fact of I wasn't just like, okay, we'll do this. I was like, this is what we're doing right here, and we're going to go balls to the wall with it. We're going to shoot for the stars and not give up, not turn back or anything. Because I was able to do that, I saw it. But then when I was chasing all these other things, I was like, okay, so none of my posts on Instagram are getting any likes. Cool. None of this is happening. My acting career isn't doing anything. Why is nothing happening? I'm doing all this other type of shit, and I still feel burnt out somehow. Because like you, I didn't know how to take a break. And I had to learn what true decompression also looked like. Instead of sitting down, scrolling through social media and stuff and thinking that's decompression.
That's not. Nope. It just actually, it's a spiral. It's a death spiral.
It stimulates your brain even more. So the way that social media and videos are, they psychologically stimulate your brain even more. It doesn't allow you to just, unless you're literally sitting there watching some ASMR video or something, then it's going to be stimulating you. So I had to learn on the psychology of actual decompression, of meditation, of NSDR type of stuff, therapy, doing that kind of stuff, and be like, you know what, I'm going to sit and like, my dog hasn't been pet at all today. I'm going to sit, lay with my dog for like 15 minutes, not do anything at all, but lay with her and just chill here for a little bit. Because I know that in the future, if I know I spent all my time doing this and I missed my chance to be able to hang out with her, I'm going to be kicking myself even more. Or maybe there's a friend that I can go get some lunch with. Maybe like sitting down and have like, this is more decompressing than sitting on Instagram for
I
a little
love
while.
this kind of stuff, and I'm just thinking that I used to do this every week, the fucking podcast, the mind composition. The mind composition ideas are sitting still 3 pages long on shit to do with a lot of people and studio space to utilize. It's the burnout, dude. The burnout got me. The burnout has really, it's a toll. And
I don't care who you are, it will get you.
It got me. I'm in it right now. You can tell by looking at me, dude. I'm crushed, bro.
I remember I was warning you about that a while back when I saw you were going absolutely crazy and stuff with all these different things. I'm like, Bryan, there is such thing as burnout, and nobody is invincible from it. You are a human being. You're not a robot. Human beings need to decompress a little bit. We're not even robots. If they go for too long, they overheat. That
was me, honestly. You saw the schedule I was doing. It was kind of crazy. It was balancing one thing. My car is my second office, basically. Phone calls going off. This phone, now there's 2 phone numbers on this phone. It's double the calls, double the text, double the everything. I mean, it's a literal vibrator at this point, like in my pocket, constantly going off. That's why it lives on Do Not Disturb. Right now it's clean because there's nothing on it. But if I go open up this DND portal, I mean, like, there's just so much shit that comes through, and I'm like,
that's how mine is.
This is only like up to an hour ago, and I'm like, what is going on, man? Like, don't you have lives? And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, oh my god.
Which does suck though in those kind of instances, because when you do have like a friend or something that reaches out, or you do have a meaningful connection, it makes it to where like you can't support that. Like, it makes it like, I'll message you or something, and then it'll take me messaging you again 2 weeks later, hoping that you get it that time. And then it makes it to where like...
That's why I hate text. That's why I say the fastest and best way for someone to get a hold of me is ring my freaking phone. And if it goes to voicemail the first time, ring it again. Because if it goes the first time, then it's on DND, and go past it. Because if you call it twice, it'll go past it and it'll go into the phone. It'll notify it.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah. So if someone calls me right now, first time, it'll deny it immediately, right? But if they call me again immediately, like within like that next like 30 seconds, the phone will start ringing. And I always tell people it's the best way to get a hold of me is just please call me, because I will answer it because I'm immediate, and my mind works on like, it's ADHD. It just works the way it is. I'm immediate, everything in front of me.
That's been a new thing for me too. I recently just got diagnosed with ADHD. So
everyone has ADHD at this point, man. So
mine is a lot more clinical than I realized though.
Oh, really?
Like, I went to a psychologist and a therapist and stuff, and I actually had to get on like some medication stuff for it. And, like, it only ended up spiraling, and it's not just like the girl in the corner, oh, I have ADHD, I can't pay. It's like actual like all the emotional shit behind it, all the other, like, you say everyone has ADHD, everyone has more ADD which means like they can't really focus on a lot of shit. But ADHD is a completely different spectrum, and it goes into a lot of emotional shit that I'm learning a lot about it. Because I thought it was just like, oh, everyone has it, it's whatever. But when you actually go into it, there's a lot more psychology that goes into it. I just have, so this is a question that I try to ask, especially all the entrepreneurs that come on, because answers to this question vary very much between who you ask. What is your definition of success, and how will you know when you've reached it or if you've reached it?
Peace.
Explain.
Still peace. Clean happiness, peace. Nothing's jarring, nothing's crazy, nothing's blowing you up, nothing's pulling at you. So what I mean by that is not, some of the most happiest people are the ones that live the most simplest life, right? I am not trying to make 5, 10, 20, 50 million dollars in the bank and hoard it at all whatsoever. I just want consistent cash flow between 30 and 40 grand a month. That's it. Now it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot.
I know when he said that's it, I'm like,
that's like, I'm even happy with 10, right? Because I have an expensive lifestyle. That's just me. So I need to support it at some point, right? But the thing is like, if there's red pill, blue pill, take 500 million now or 20,000 a month for the rest of your life. I'm taking the 20,000 a month the rest of my life, right? Consistently, based on like what the work, that comes with it, right? And I know that a lot of, the hustle culture we live in right now, and I used to be a huge type of part of it where it's like, oh yeah, work. I get it. I used to not believe in burnout, right? I used to think that, and I still don't believe that it's, fully a toll, I still don't believe that it's like a thing that can really just bog you down. I believe that it's really just like okay, let me catch my breath. It's just going to burn me out for a second, but I'm going to get right back up. All I need is a couple days of pure decompression and sorting in my life, and then I'm right back into the game. But I still believe that, I control my mind's emotions, not the emotions control me, right? Recently that's been kind of hard to do, but it's still, I still do it for the most part. So I'd say the definition of success really is just honestly peace, consistency, and just happiness when it comes to whatever it is you're working on. And I've always said this till the day that I die. And my dad has, tried to push me into engineering, saying, you're going to be an engineer making $300,000 a year. That's not success.
Yeah.
That's not success. 60 hours a week in an office. The money's great. You have the car and the house and all this, but that's not success. I'd rather make just $10,000 a month on a beach, surfing, watching the sunset, grabbing a burger and a beer, talking with some friends. That's happiness. I think Mark Cuban actually had a Shark Tank episode to where he was telling them, like, I'd rather do work for myself and do what I want making $70K a year right there
than to bust my ass for 100 hours a week making $1 million a month.
Yep, right there. It's not about the money. When you hear the word success, because of the hustle culture that we live in, everyone thinks the car and the house and the girls and all this. And you see those inspirations. I still post them. I think the message is good. It's not because of the visuals. I'm not posting it because I have some fucking fast-ass car and a hot-ass bitch. I don't give a shit about that. But the message in there is good. It's like, about hard work. When you're working on something, give it all you got, right? Yeah. But when you're with friends, give it all you got, right?
Right.
It's like dividing that energy into where, it is. And that's and if you just do that and be consistent with it, then you'll reach a point of, and I think that everyone is successful to a degree, but really when you have a big dream and a big purpose and a big vision, that's where real success really starts to come in, because you start making an impact. And when you start chasing that and you be consistent with it, then you can sit down at night and just be like, okay, we went through some hard struggles, but we made it with a bigger purpose, right? Not like, look at the house I just bought. Yeah. $10 million. No one cares, dude. In 60 years, you're going to die. You won't see that house anymore.
Right.
Who cares about that? So, I've been learning a lot about that and had to really separate myself from certain people that I used to look up to, or certain entrepreneurs in my life that had that very strong materialistic money-making mindset. There's nothing wrong with that if that works for them. But like I said, just consistent cash flow. Can you control cash flow? It doesn't have to be much. It's not hard. And then can you hold it and then just be at peace and it's grateful, gratitude. That's the other one. Just be grateful for what you have already. Because, dude, I mean, May, June, July were the worst financial months of my life, but August, September were the best financial months of my life. And we're still in September. It's not even over yet. So it's like, okay, the low points go low, but the high points go higher. I'm grateful that I woke up today. I'm grateful that I have this day. I'm grateful that I have these opportunities, right?
Yeah.
You're grateful that you have X, Y, and Z. You got to find what that is. And I've noticed that the more happy people are the ones that are more at peace, that live simple, but they're very grateful for what they have. And the most depressed people and the ones that are most jarred up or angry are the ones that are always complaining about everything. This didn't go right, so this. Or they didn't put enough milk in my coffee this morning. Oh, boo, boo fucking who, dude? You know how many other coffee days you can get with the right amount of milk, bro? Like, oh, well, you know, if I go to a restaurant, this happened recently, I ordered something, they brought something completely out. I was like, well, you know what? I don't want to, who knows what the chef's going through or what's happening back there. Maybe they're understaffed, or I'm not going to make a problem. I'm going to have it anyway. I'm grateful I have food on the freaking table, dude. Yeah. Like, God damn it. And I heard this too. If you make more than $35,000 a year, you are in the top 8% of the world. By capita. Mm-hmm. All right, if you make more than $30,000 a year. So pat yourself on the back. We're all in the top 10. A lot of people are in the top 10, but it's America, right? There's a lot of people that also put on a facade out there. There's a lot of people that don't have what they really say they have, or act a certain way, but really just, you know, tell a person by the fruits on their tree. Or just tell a person by the fruits on the tree, and you tell if that person's successful or not. They can't hide it forever. They can't fake it forever.
Absolutely.
So I know a lot of people, that answer varies a lot. Because I guarantee you right now, I hear it in the back of my head.
That's why I asked.
Yeah. What makes you successful? Dream car, dream house. Yeah, it's nice to have that, but that may make you happy for 5 days. You'll get tired of it.
Absolutely.
I was the happiest camper when I bought my Lexus. That was my dream daily car at age 21. That was my dream daily car. Just one of the 5. And I was like, all right, cool. I bought it at 21. A week later, grateful I have it. Next.
Yeah, I know. I was listening to Jack Shepard's podcast, and he was saying, like, it really almost bothered me when I was able to afford all the things that I wanted to get, but I still felt like shit.
Yeah, really.
Like, it's crazy. Like, obviously, yes, in my kind of situation, I definitely want more financial stability. For me, it's not about getting all the cars, all the houses, all that. It's about, I was actually talking, I think you remember Kalmar, my buddy Kalmar, about this yesterday. I want to be in a situation to where I get to choose how my day goes, for one. Yep. And for two, I want to not ever have to worry about bills. Like, I don't ever want to have to be like, oh, surprise bill came out. I'm about to go bankrupt. I want to be in that position towards like, cool, all right, whatever. Or be able to, if there's a new subscription I want to get for meditation app or some random thing, I want to be able to be like, yeah, I'll try this new subscription. I'll try it. Like, it's not going to break the bank. Like, I want to be in that position to where it allows me to have the freedom to get what I need and live the lifestyle that I want. And that's not to say I'm not going to ever work again, but I want to be able to be more choosy on what I do for work.
I think actually I'm going to add on to my answer, is really when it comes down to success, choices. Yeah. Choices, right? You can choose
the freedom of choice.
Choices, right? You can just get up, wake up, sleep in, you know. And the thing is like, you know, I today was one of those days again. I was just like, all right, I can choose the schedule, you know, things move around. We rescheduled, moved around, nothing in the way. Yeah. Slept in till like, you know, 10, 11. I was so tired. I passed out at 9 p.m. I slept for almost 13 hours. I was like, what the fuck, dude? That's how tired I was and how burnt out I was. And I was like, all right, like that's telling me something here. And then, but it's like, you know, that's a peaceful day, right? Yeah. Wake up late, you know, clean the house, shower, shave, go grab lunch with a buddy, come back home, take another nap, and then, you know, get some food, come here, grab some popcorn on the way out, and then go home, and then go to sleep. today is a recovery day, to be honest with you, because like I deserve this kind of a fucking day. Yeah. And that, you know, but the choice is to be like, I think I'm going to go to San Diego. I mean, like the flights that I booked like on the weekend, or not the weekend, but tomorrow morning, is just like, I think I'm going to go to San Francisco for this project, or Denver, or whatever it is, or San Diego. Like, honestly, San Diego's an Achilles heel to me because I love surfing and I love the ocean so much that it's like, I could stay home and build my business, or I can go to San Diego and do surfing. That's a dangerous choice to make. Yeah. But still a choice to make. But then again, when you have, you know, something that is still consistent and steady, you know, you can still grow it and all that stuff too, you know, but it's like, that's a lot of people overlook that. They get caught up with the bling, all right? In this mall, there's like every single fashion designer store in this mall, dude. Right. Everyone's here buying things they can't afford, you know? Someone will make, a Chanel purse will cost, you know, what? $3,000, something like that, $4,000. I don't even know what they are. But let's say a purse from a designer costs like $5,000, right? So most people, they'll make $6,000 and then they'll spend the $5,000 on the purse. And then they're like, I got a Chanel purse. I have $1,000 left in my bank. Don't know how I'm going to rent this month, but I have a Chanel purse, you know, like, all right, cool. Sounds like a plan. You don't know what you're doing, but whatever. Yeah. Those are everywhere. Those types of people everywhere. Don't be those types of people. Absolutely. Which obviously you're not. You never will, because I know you, right? Yeah. I know your heart. And I know your mind. I know you'll never be. I'm definitely the more of what trips can I take, what experiences can I have. Yep. I've honestly, I'm the least materialistic person I know, in the sense of I don't like gifts. I don't like things very much. Like I want the things that I do have. I do want to be of good quality and nice. But I'm not always like a retail therapy type of person. It stresses me out shopping. Like I fucking hate shopping. I hate shopping too. Like I will always still shop at H&M, and that once a year. I hate lines. I hate people, and I hate choices of picking out things that I can't decide. Even when I buying them both, I'll be like, fuck this. Like even when I do have money, I'm like, I can go to Chipotle finally. I can get extra fucking guac. Like that's my treat. I'm not like, oh, what can I get on Amazon? Like I'll have the same things in my cart for literally months on end without even going back into it, because I'm not a materialistic person. I'd rather be like, I can go to a new steakhouse on the side or that just opened up, or I can finally take that trip to Disneyland that I've always been wanting to take. Go to Omni, the hotel in Tempe. They just opened up their new rooftop bar called Lucero. All glass bar, 360-degree view. You want to go have an experience? That's the bar to go to. Bring your girlfriend there. It's a sick place, honestly. The drinks are like amazing. It's a little pricey. I would be prepared to spend about $40, $50 there on drinks total, but for like two people, if you're getting one or two probably. But the drinks there are like so beautiful, different colors in them. They put all the flowers on top of it. They got the nice music, and then it's just like you sit on a couch on a window like as big as this entire wall, and you just see all the city lights out there. I know we've been to like the top of the Westin and all that. For their nachos, which are so good. But like this is like a different ambiance. It's a different vibe up there. It's more classy instead of party like the Westin. You'll have to text me this place. Yeah, no, for real. I'll definitely check it out. Yeah, I'll text it to you. Well, this is officially, I think, the longest episode I've ever recorded. Really? Sure. How long are we going? Almost 2 hours, an hour and a half? Yeah, we're at an hour and 32 minutes of recording time. That's not normal. Usually it's about 50 minutes to just over an hour for me, so this is definitely running a little bit longer. We have a lot to catch up on, so. Yeah, I know. And a lot of stuff I've been able to kind of get off my chest, which I'm happy about. Anyway, I know that you were a very busy person, so I do appreciate you coming on, and especially on a decompression day and stuff, and being able to share some insight and stuff. You're definitely someone I've been wanting to have on for a little while, because you hit a lot of the avenues that I try to hit on this podcast with creativity and entrepreneurship, and because of the history that we do have. So thank you again, Bryan, for coming on. This is a little outro that I'll have you say, and then we will make that a wrap. Awesome. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. My name is Bryan, and I've been unmasked.